You don't question gravity, right? You don't wake up and think, I wonder if gravity is going to work today. You just know that if you let go of something, it's going to drop, it's going to fall. You use gravity every single day. And I would bet that most of us don't actually understand the physics of it. We don't actually know how it works. Well, today we're talking about the quantum field, and it's exactly the same thing. It works the same way. It is not some mystical concept. It's literally science. So just like gravity, you know it's real, you know it's there, you know that it works, but you don't understand all the hows, all the ins and out. It's exactly the same thing. You don't need a PhD to use gravity, and you don't need it to use the quantum field. You just have to know it exists and how to work with it, just like gravity. Today on the podcast, we are breaking down the quantum field and why it matters for your business. We are going to talk about how to use it to quantum leap your income, how to use it in your business, and there is no science degree required because your girl does not have a science degree. I do not understand every nuance of quantum physics, and also I know that it works. So if you have ever wondered what people mean when they talk about the quantum field, when they talk about manifesting from quantum, this episode is for you, because once you understand this, you're not going to look at your business the same. You're not going to look at your goals the same. You're not going to look at your bank account the exact same way. Most entrepreneurs think that success in their business is about how hard they work, what they do, strategy, things like that. But quantum physics is what shows us that everything is literally possible. Every amount of money you could make, every client you could have or not have, every opportunity, everything already exists. So understanding the quantum field is going to give you access to a completely different way of creating results in your business. And once you understand this, you can use this tool for practical manifestation. So here's what I need you to understand. The quantum field is where all possibilities exist, including the one that you're in right now, the one that you want, the one that you don't want. Everything is possible. Everything is a frequency. So let's get into what the quantum field actually is in layman's terms for the average person, where you don't have to understand physics to use it to your advantage. The quantum field is the invisible energetic field that connects everything in the entire universe. So in quantum physics, it's called the field of infinite possibilities. If you have read the book by Mike Dooley, Infinite Possibilities, it's one of the best reads for Manifestation 101. When someone's like, I'm new to manifestation, what should I read? I always say, start with Infinite Possibilities. I'll link it in the show notes. That's where this term comes from. And it's that every possible version of your life already exists in the quantum field. So I want you to think of it like Netflix. Everything that you want to watch on Netflix is already there. Every show, every category, all the things are all on Netflix, and you decide which one to tune into, which one to watch, which reality you are choosing. The quantum field works exactly like that. It all exists, and you are picking the frequency that you tune into. We know that everything is energy, and if you even think of like an atom and the particles of an atom, they are all moving. They're all vibrating at different frequencies. So this means your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs, all of these things are energy. Money is energy, and they're constantly interacting in the quantum field. This means that the version of you making $50K a year exists in the quantum field. So does the version of you making $500K. So does the millionaire version. They're literally all there. And the one you experience depends on which frequency you're tuned into. And that's the secret, right? Tuning into the frequency that you desire. And here's the kicker. The quantum field, it doesn't care about your past. It doesn't care about your resume, about your hard work. It doesn't care about your current bank account. What's logical? It responds to your frequency and to your frequency only. So when you're manifesting, you're not just creating something new. You're tuning into a reality that already exists. And this is why mindset work is so important and matters so much, because you have to have the mindset to manifest. Because when we use the quantum field in manifesting, knowing that that version of something that we want already exists, the mindset around that is a tricky piece, right? It takes work understanding that that exists, and we just have to change the channel. Just like on Netflix, if you are trying to change what you're watching, you just change the channel. So if you're experiencing a reality that you don't like, is not desirable to you, fill in the blank, whatever it may be, your job is to change the frequency. Another way to think of this is like a radio. So all the stations are all available at the same time. You just have to tune into the one you want to hear. The quantum field is exactly the same. All possibilities are available. You choose which one to align with. So let's talk about how it actually works. In quantum physics, there is this principle called the observer effect. The observer effect is a phenomenon in science where the act of observing or measuring a system inevitably alters its state. So you observe a particle and it changes the way the particle is acting. That means that the observer cannot be separated from the system. And one of my favorite examples of this is Dr. Emoto's water experiment. And if you're on YouTube, you can see the images here I have up. If you are not, I will link to it in the show notes. And it's this amazing experiment, and it's an observation of water molecules. What he did is he observed frozen water. And when he observed the molecules, he said different things to them. He said, thank you. He said, I love you. He said, peace. And the molecules are these beautiful snowflakes. They're what you think of when you think winter wonderland. And then he observed the water molecules, the ice, the frozen water, and said things like, you're a fool, you're evil, you make me sick. And the molecules are not pretty. They are not a winter wonderland. They look visibly angry. They are not arranged in a beautiful manner the way the other ones are. So what this showed us is that the molecules, they understood this consciousness, and observing and saying these things to them produced a reaction. The positive stimulus had a positive result. The negative stimuli had negative results. And here's the thing, it's the exact same way in your business. Where you place your attention and your energy shapes your reality. And you can use this to your benefit. You can use this to your advantage because your thoughts and emotions are sending out a frequency. And the quantum field is responding to that frequency. So what does this tell us? Well, it tells us that we want to put out the thoughts, the emotions that are going to benefit us, that are going to help us, that are going to give us the results we want so that we're emulating that frequency and getting that back so that we're tuning into the right radio channel, the right Netflix channel, right? So if you're constantly thinking, I'm behind, I'm never going to get to my goals, I'm not where I want to be, I'm broke, things like that, you are sending out a frequency of scarcity. It's a lower vibration. And the quantum field is going to deliver more scarcity to you. You are aligning with that frequency. You're tuning into that channel. But if you're thinking and acting and feeling like the rich version of you that you want to be, the person who has all of the success you desire, the person who has everything that you want, you're sending out an abundance frequency, a higher vibration. And then the quantum field is delivering opportunities, clients, money, success that match that frequency. And this is why embodiment matters so much. You have to be the frequency that you want in order to get your desires. You can't wait till you have the thing, the goal, whatever it may be, the money you want, the business you want, the life you want, to act like that person. You have to do it now because that's how you tune in the quantum field to the frequency that you desire. You cannot think and focus on lack and expect abundance. Your frequency and your results are always going to match your thoughts, your feelings, and most importantly, your energy. And this is exactly why affirmations alone don't work and they fall flat. I had a friend once who used to say, well, I've tried all the things. I do the affirmations and they don't work. So every day she would wake up and she would say, I'm a millionaire. I'm going to win the lottery. But she didn't play the lottery. And every time she said, I'm a millionaire, she didn't believe it. she had this feeling of like, yeah, right. I'm just waiting for it to happen. If I say it, it's going to happen. But she didn't believe it was actually going to happen. So I'm not saying affirmations don't work. I am not saying they're bad by any means. What I am saying is the trick to making them work is the feeling, the frequency at which you're operating. That's the important part. And this is something that I see all the time with my one-on-one clients. They are wanting a desire, but there's so much pressure around it. They have these negative feelings about it. They're putting pressure on themselves. They're stressing themselves out because they don't have it. And when they're able to release that feeling of of dread, of negativity, of not having it, of whatever negative emotions that are not bringing them the outcome that they desire, that stress, that pressure, literally it happens overnight. The changes are so quick. One of my favorite stories about a client who manifested all this money was she let go of the pressure of the goal being so big. So we set a goal. I said, what would blow your mind in terms of a launch? And she said, 40K. 40K would blow my freaking mind. Like, it's so not doable. I can't believe it. That could never happen. I said, great. The goal is now 80. We are going to actually blow your mind. And she was like, whoa, what? And all we did, and I said, okay, the goal's set, and now you forget it. Now focus on making one sale. Just tune into the frequency of selling to one person because you know how to do that. You've done that before. That's easy peasy. It changed her energy. And so what did she do? She sold to one person and then another person and another person. And then when she got to 40K, she was like, holy shit, you were right. I can't believe this. And then she kept going and kept going and kept going. And she got to 80K. And if you had asked her if that was possible by just focusing on the 80K, she never would have gotten there. But releasing that and dialing into the frequency of like, yes, okay, that is easy, that is done, that exists, and I'm just going to focus on the one person in front of me. It took all the pressure off. And that's how she was able to manifest. So that's just one example of tapping into the quantum field. So how can you tap into the quantum field? Well, the first thing that I would recommend you do is get clear on your desired reality. Get clear on what you want because the universe cannot deliver if you don't know what you want. You need specifics. If you have dinner reservations at somewhere you've never been before on the other side of town, you don't just put in that part of town and just wander there. No, you look up the exact address for the restaurant and then your GPS takes you there. So I want you to think of setting your intentions like setting your GPS. And once you get specific, I want you to think about what does it look like for you? What does it look like when you have that goal? How does that person move throughout their day? And not just numbers, because with money, yes, there's a number, but what is the energy when I have it? What is the confidence when I have it? What does this person do on a daily basis? How does she move? How does she spend her mornings? How does she spend her evenings? The clearer you can get on all of this, the stronger the connection to that version of you will be. And then step 2 is feeling into it. So you cannot logically think your way into it. You have to feel into it. Your logical brain is always going to be trying to figure out the how. It's totally normal and it's not your job. The quantum field responds to the feeling frequency, not some mental strategy. So I want you to close your eyes and feel what it's like to check your bank account when you have the money that you desire. What does your body feel like? It's all about feelings. So get out of your logical head and into your body, into your emotions. And then the next part is acting from that reality now. Act as if you're already in the reality. You're already on the Netflix channel, already on the radio station that you want. Because this is where most people get things wrong. They act from where they are right here, right now, instead of where they want to go, where they want to be. So if you are trying to manifest more money, how does that version of you make decisions? How do they price themselves? How do they show up to meetings, to networking events? It's the little things like, do they tell themselves I can't afford it? Or do they say things like, how can I afford this? Does this make sense for me? Is this a priority? And here's the most amazing part about the quantum field. You're not pretending, you're just accessing what already exists. And the more and more you do that, the more your reality is going to change and you're going to shift into that reality. And the trickiest part about this can be the timeline. And I get it because I have always wanted everything right now, yesterday, totally understandable. And the quantum field does not operate on what we think of as linear time. So when you are doubting it, when you're saying, is it working? When you are looking at, am I there yet? You're pulling your energy back to your current reality, which is not the one you desire. So you really have to trust the process without micromanaging the outcome. You plant the seed, you water it, and then you just let it grow. And while you're letting it grow, I understand that it can be challenging, and that's why it's so powerful to work with a coach. But one thing that you can do that's really tangible is to look for evidence. And as a coach, I have my clients do this all the time because what you focus on expands. So focus on proof it's working. If you feel like it's not working at all, how can you find evidence to the contrary? If you had to argue this in a court tonight, today, what evidence would you find? Find proof that it's working because you're going to find it. And the more and more you look for it, the easier it's going to be to find it. You'll start to notice the synchronicities, the unexpected opportunities, the shifts in how people are responding to your energy. And you can keep a journal of this. You can keep a notes app of this. It's a good reminder for when it gets tough because you have a human brain and you're going to go back to this, but it hasn't happened yet. What about it's taking this long? This is hard. I'm impatient. And you need a reminder to just keep coming back to the evidence because every time you go back there, you're shifting out of the frequency of having what you want. The universe is always showing you it's working. You just have to pay attention. You have to find the evidence. So make it a game and play the game and find the evidence. When you use the quantum field to your advantage, when you are manifesting more money, more clients, more opportunities, it's really important that you are aligned. And when you let go of the controlling the path and really just focus on letting the universe do the work, it is so incredible what happens and what manifests. And I have so many examples of this in my life, in my clients' lives. I see this every single day. And it all works out in this unexpected way for you to get your desires once you tap into this, once you really tune into the frequency, once you let go of the control, once you let go of the how, once you are tuned in and just know it's going to happen, it always works out in a way that is so, so unexpected. One of the things that trips people up about the quantum field is the idea of time, because in the quantum field, time does not exist the way we think it does. So in quantum physics, past, present, and future, they all exist right now. Just like on Netflix, everything is there right now. But your future self, meaning the version of you that you're trying to manifest, is not in the future. She exists right now. The version of you who's making 7 figures, who has all the money, who has the freedom-based business, whatever it is, all exist in the quantum field. And when you understand this, it's so much easier to manifest. This is why visualization works so powerfully. So when you connect with your future self, you're not imagining something fake, something in the future. You're accessing something that's already real. Your nervous system cannot tell the difference between what's happening now and what's already happened. It doesn't understand time. So when you can tap into this through visualization, through energy work, through shifting your frequency regularly, this is how you collapse time. This is how you create quantum leaps. And I would say the biggest quantum leap year of my life is the year that I went all in on my money mindset. I was able to sell my business. I was able to sell my house. I was able to manifest this 6-figure job that I never would have imagined even would exist or would pay that well before that. And I would say the biggest takeaway and the biggest secret and the best advice I could give you is just know that it can happen right now. And when you know that, when you know everything exists simultaneously, there is this energetic shift in your body. There is a shift in your consciousness, and that's when it all starts to happen. And so if you've ever heard someone say collapsing timelines, this is what they're talking about. It's tuning in and making it happen right now. Your goals don't have to be far away. They're not distant. They're available right now. Does it take time to tune into that frequency? Yes, sometimes. And sometimes it can be so fast. It can happen just like that. I really want you to apply this to your business. Most entrepreneurs, most business owners are thinking, if I work really hard now, I'll get the success later. But what I want you to think is that if you connect with the successful version of yourself now, then the actions are going to become inevitable. You're just going to do them. So instead of hustling towards your goal, instead of working hard towards your goal, and I'm not saying you don't take action, you absolutely must take action, but you're already operating from that reality, which is tuning you into the frequency. And that's what shifts everything. That's what shifts your reality. That's what shifts your bank account, your pricing, your confidence, your business, your decisions, everything right here and right now. When I was at my rock bottom, when I was super broke, I was acting like someone who was broke. I had thoughts of someone who was broke. I identified as someone who was broke. And it wasn't until I decided I wasn't going to be broke, regardless of what the circumstances looked like, that actually happened for me. And you can do the same thing. You can access anything in the quantum field if you decide to, and you shift that energy and you put your mind to it. And when you do, you can collapse time so freaking fast. It is amazing. Things that would normally take years can take months. Things that would take months would take days. Things will start to happen overnight. Here's what I want to ask you and what I want you to reflect on. What version of me already exists in the quantum field? What does she feel like? How does she move through her business? What's one decision I can make today that aligns me with that version of me? So I invite you, unless you're driving, then don't do this. But if you have the time and space to just get quiet for a moment, I just invite you to close your eyes, get quiet. And I just want you to imagine. I want you to imagine stepping into the quantum field of infinite possibilities. And you see all these versions of your life, all these possibilities out in front of you. There's a version who's stuck. There's the version where you're thriving. There's the version where you're a multimillionaire. Which one are you choosing? Which one? You get to pick. Just like you were a kid at a candy store, picking out what you want. And then step into her. Feel what they feel. Feel it right here, right now. And then bring that energy back into this moment. Right here, right now. Beautiful. Thank you so much for tuning in to Quantum Wealth. If this resonated with you, if this blew your mind a little, please share the podcast. Send it to someone who it could help. Screenshot this episode, post it on Instagram, tag me at Jillian Minter. I want to know what landed for you. I love hearing and seeing your insights. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you next Thursday. Now go step into the quantum field and claim what is already yours. That's a wrap on today's episode. If you're still here, I know you're serious about quantum leaping your income, and that commitment is what separates the dreamers from the doers. Here's what I want you to do next. Pick one insight from today and take action on it. Because here's the thing, transformation happens in the implementation, not just the inspiration. If this episode shifted something for you, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen. It helps other ambitious, heart-centered women find the show. And if you're ready to take this work deeper and finally break through that income plateau, I'd love to invite you to book a discovery call with me. Because here's the thing, podcasts give you the what, but coaching gives you the how. It's what takes you from, I know what I should be doing, to, holy shit, I actually did it. Head to the show notes or to jillianminter.com to grab your spot on my calendar. Until next week, keep choosing abundance over scarcity, alignment over hustle, and remember, you're meant for more. You just have to believe it's yours.